Hello chaps and chapettes, and welcome to GCSE Physics. It's going to be a fun ride, but you need to go in armed. So we can just get rid of that. So you should never do this, by the way, but here we go. Rid of that. No, I think we got it. There. Let's be a little more sensible with this. Rid of that. And that means that you need to subscribe to this channel so that you can find out every single topic video when you need it, when you're doing a homework, when you're doing a revision, the night before the test, but I don't recommend that, so that you can do the best in your topic tests going forward. I think that most people are aware now that these topic tests are actually kind of vitally important because they might actually form your part of your real grade if things go a bit strange. So make sure that you get the best out of your topic test by following this series on everything you need to know about GCSE physics. And to do that, and to get you off to the best start, you need to understand how to measure things. And that's going to start off with length. Let's go straight into it. Length is really the foundation thing of physics. And measuring in particular is the most foundational idea in physics, because you can't really know something or discuss something unless you can actually say for certain what that something is. And the only way to do that with any sort of degree of accuracy and precision is to actually get a ruler out and measure it. So it might not be as flash as other things in physics. I mean, it's certainly not as exciting as a black hole or not as mysterious as light, but it is the most basic and foundational idea that you can have in physics. So what things do you need to know about length for measurements in GCSE? Well, first of all, you need to know that length is a measurement in 3D space. You also need to understand how to use a ruler to measure distance. I know that sounds massively simple, but you do need to know a few bits of nuance when it comes down to measuring things with a ruler. You also need to be able to use more complex equipment for small distances and for different types of volumes, mostly of irregular shapes. And there we go. Those are the things that you need to know and understand and be able to do for GCSE physics. So first of all, let's talk about what length actually is. Well, length is actually the gap between two coordinate points in 3D space. Basically, you say there's something over here, and there's something over here, and that there is a distance between them. And you need to be able to quantify that distance, as in say exactly how far apart they are. So we call that length, or well, distance really, but that's how you can say that these two objects are away from each other in 3D space. Don't think about it too hard, because if you start going down the line of what that actually means, as in what is 3D space, what does it mean to actually be separated, and what's the gap in the middle, it can get really complicated and philosophical quite quickly. You don't need to go that far. All you need to know is that length is something that you can measure with a ruler. And now I'm going to do something really, really complicated. I'm going to show you how to use a ruler. Brace yourself. So guys, before we go back to the back of my classroom and have a look at how to do this one, make sure you hit the like button so that the YouTube algorithm knows I'm here and that these videos are spread a bit more across the interwebs. It does help out an enormous amount, so please hit the like button, and once you've done that, come and join me at the back of the classroom. Right, so what we're looking at here is, well, a series of measuring devices, and these are useful, but we'll come to them later on, and only one of these are useful. Now this is not a device to measure length, so we can just get rid of that. So what we need to do is now decide which one of these is actually the best thing to measure length. And well, this thing, it's got ruler stuff on there, so it's got centimeters, it's got millimeters, but also we don't really use this to measure length, so just get rid of that. We also don't want to use this one here, and there's a really good reason for that. And actually, one second, let me just grab a piece of paper. We also don't want to use one of these because it's a ruler, it's just really, really small for what we need. Look, let me show you. Now this is a standard A4 piece of paper, the kind you might find in exams or tests or homeworks and things like that. And you can see that the ruler doesn't actually cover the whole distance of it. It gets even worse if you do angles and things like that. So this thing is just far too short for our purposes, so we just get rid of that. This thing though, this is a 30 centimeter ruler. And this is perfect. Look, it covers the entire length of our A4 page. and does lots on the width as well. Look, the only way you could possibly get longer than the ruler on this piece of paper is by doing a diagonal from corner to corner. The number of times you have to do that in an exam is 0. You will never have to do an entire line from corner to corner on an A4 piece of paper during an exam. So this is actually perfect for doing everything you need in GCSE. Not only that, but look, you can see through it, which means that when you're doing your numbers and stuff like that, you don't have to constantly keep taking your ruler out and looking underneath all the time. You can just put it straight onto your graph or straight onto your diagram and draw some nice straight lines without having to guess where things are. So this is what you need to buy. Make sure that you buy like 3 of these before your exams. Make sure you buy like 5 of them before your course even starts. Look, buy 10 of these, okay? Buy 10 of these for like 50p to £1 in your, most convenient shop. Keep a hold of them. When you get to exam season, what you can then do is stand outside and sell these for £10 a pop outside the exam hall. So there you go. So we need to look at these things here. These are micrometer screw gauges, okay? And this is an analog version of it. And what these do is they measure very, very, very small lengths for you. So we can just measure the width of this piece of string now. I'll be honest, reading this thing is actually really difficult, so tend not to bother, but honestly it's not too bad. What you do is you line up the, there we go, just line that up. What you line up is the millimeter parts there with your then finer divisions on the sides. So that's going to be, if I just scroll all the way down to 0, there we go. So you see that's on 0 and 0. So that's going to be 0 millimeters. And then you go up to 0.5 millimeters, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, and so on. You've actually got to 0.5 millimeters at that point when we come back around to 0. And then you keep going wider till you get to 1 at 0 point again. So 1.0, hang on, 0.1, hang on a second. 0 millimeters, 0.5 millimeters, 1 millimeter, 1.5 millimeters, and so on all the way up, okay? Now you probably will never have to read that one. Mostly what you'll get is the digital stuff like this. This is not a micrometer screw gauge, this is a set of calipers, but it does pretty much the same thing. Turn that on, and you can see, it's not been zeroed there, there we go, zero that. And the battery's about to run out on this one, but you can kind of see that if we make this wider, he says, trying to make it wider, there we go, then it just gives you a straight digital readout of what these distances are, what these lengths are. So I can tell them that piece of string is 1.37 millimeters wide in diameter. So there you go, that's what you use. And that's pretty much how you use them. So there you go, 3 devices to measure length. Calipers, our micrometer screw gauge, and 30 centimeter ruler. By like 200 of these things, it will help out a lot. Okay, so we've done the very simple bits of measuring things with a ruler. So now we need to look at how to measure volumes and things, and actually measure things with different irregular shapes and stuff like that. Now you might be wondering why we're going from length to volume. Well, it's because volume is pretty much just length times the length times the length. And rather than talk about that with you, we're going to go to the whiteboard table at the back of my classroom, and I'll show you exactly how you do that and the maths behind it. So if you haven't done so already, hit the like button, join me at the back. All right, so super quick, we need to measure the volume of an object. So let's start off with the easy one. This is a cube, and that's going to have a base times a width and a height. So your volume is going to be base times width times by height. Easy. Now this works for your standard cuboid as well, which is basically just a cube with the same thing, but one thing is different. The height is usually different. Now the one that might be difficult is going to be a cylinder, and that's a cuboid with a circle for a base. And we have to know the radius on this one. Okay, volume is going to equal to, just shift this across, pi r squared times by height. There, okay? So those are three different volumes that you need to know how to calculate. These two are the same, this one slightly different. Try and keep in your head the area of the circle times by the height and you're good to go. Oh, cracky. Right, this is a measuring cylinder and we use this to measure volumes of water. Basically, you just pour a liquid in there and it will tell you the volume of the water. Now, I just need to show you something on this one. Just go down and up. Turn that off. And up. So that we're parallel to it. All right, now, you might notice something on this one. What we have here is this slight curvature on the surface of the liquid. This is called the meniscus, okay? We need to go a bit lower than this though, so we need to look directly on. Actually, you know what, let's just add some water so we can go directly on without having to shift things around. There, okay. Get rid of bubbles. So we have this curvature of the water, it's dipping down into it. This is called the meniscus, and this is a bit annoying. Basically, the water is trying to crawl its way up the sides of the tube from the surface tension on the water. And that's going to interfere with our results and make it work not so well. So what we need to do is we need to figure out where we're going to measure from. We could measure from the edge of the meniscus, or we could measure from the bottom curvy bit. And the answer is this: you should measure from the bottom curvy bit. That's going to be your line that you measure from. There's a reason for that. You can't actually be sure where this line of water ends. The surface tension is actually crawling its way up the side of the cylinder. And that means that there's basically little water particles which have managed to make it all the way up to here already. There are some fluids called superfluids and things which can actually crawl their way out of containers using this idea. But obviously water is not going to be one of those. But we can't actually tell where the water layer ends and where the sort of top edge of our meniscus layer is. We can tell where the bottom part is because that's quite easy. That's just like a flat line going off the bottom. So that's why we measure the meniscus there. Now we want to work out how to measure the density of irregular shaped objects. So if I just take any old object, hang on, got this one here. This is a die, okay? Now this could be measured as a cube, but we've got these really annoying like corner bits which are not easy to measure. So rather than doing some complicated maths and complicated sort of diagrams and things like that, what we're going to do instead is we're going to take this and we are just going to drop it in the water. So hopefully something will happen. There we go. Well, hang on. First of all, check the volume of the water there. We've got that point there. Drop it in. And we can see that the water level has gone up. And it will go up by the amount of volume that the die has. So that's how you can check the volume of irregular shaped objects. Drop them into water, see the difference in the volume of the water, and there you go. That should give you the difference in the volume of your object. This is going to work for most things. It's probably not going to work for things like sponges though, because they'll tend to absorb all the water around them and then you don't really get the same effect of displacement. But this is going to be good enough for most of the things in GCSE and actually good enough to get you 3 marks in an exam. So, yeah. Okay, so that's fairly straightforward, right? Those are some classic experiments and classic questions in GCSE Physics, which are really, really easy answers or easy marks to pick up during an exam. So make sure that you know how to measure something, make sure you know how to measure the volume of shapes, make sure you know how to measure the volume of irregular shaped objects. Really straightforward, but there you go. So from this video, you should now know that length is the measurement of 3D space, okay, or a gap between 3D space. You should also understand how to use a ruler to measure distance, and you should also be able to use more complex equipment. I think we looked at the micrometer screw gauge and also a measuring cylinder. High-tech stuff, I know, but you should remember them and recall them for your exams. Now, there's a couple of things you need to do before you leave. Make sure that you subscribe if you haven't done so already. This means that you can find these videos when you need them, like before topic tests, during preps and homeworks, and during, last-minute revision sessions. I'm not saying you should do last-minute revision, but maybe you use these videos to revise. Maybe you're listening to them right now whilst you're doing the dishes, something like that. There's also something else you need to do. Hit the notification bell as well. This means that if there's ever a new update video on fun bits of physics, like when I do the physics of Star Wars, the physics of food, you will be informed and you'll know straight away. Sometimes there'll be important information from exam boards, and you will want to know that information before going in to do your exams. So make sure you hit that notification bell as well. And once you've done all that, once you've done all the bits and pieces for length, I will see you in the next video, guys. Have a really great day.